Sky here, so I guess this is it. This is my last Gacha video. Today, I'll be talking about my journey and experience within the Gacha community. It all started when I was about 11 or 12 years old. A friend of mine introduced me to this fun dress-up game with lots of customization options. I quickly fell in love with it and downloaded it as soon as I got home. This game was called Gacha Studio. I used it for a while, and it didn't take long before I started finding videos using the app. People would make stories that usually consisted of one-shots about a girl in a struggling household discovering she has otherworldly powers. This genre that would come to be referred to as the hated child. Yeah, I've been here since those days. I recall experimenting with making my own Gacha Studio story, but as far as I know, there are no traces of those days on my devices anymore. I probably deleted all the screenshots. Not to mention, the program was incredibly limited, and creating a story was so tedious. Having to select a speech bubble size and restrictive position presets really limited the use of this app. It only helped with customizing characters. That all changed when Gachaverse came along. I didn't play it much at first, preferring the more detailed designs in the prior game. Eventually, I got around to using it more, as it was a lot easier to use compared to Gacha Studio. Okay, funny story. Turns out I never downloaded Gachaverse. My bad. I thought that I had downloaded it, but I hadn't. I guess I was just that reluctant to use it. I also felt really reluctant when I found out about Gacha Life, but I did end up using it a lot because I saw all the new features that were implemented and how much easier it looked to use. I was very reluctant to try Gacha Life. When I did, I was overwhelmed with all the options and possibilities for customization. I actually got to planning a concrete story, but unfortunately I scrapped it, due to the project just being too much to handle alone. The main idea was to have a class go on a field trip, but they get stranded in the middle of the forest after some spirits attack the bus. The class would split up in panic, and they'd all encounter the different spirits of the forest. The spirit of hope, anxiety, regret, and so on. Oh, and the second main character dies of hypothermia. I really liked the project's concept though, and although I never finished all of my original backgrounds, I did complete these. Maybe you bees can find better use for them in your stories? Around that same time, I interacted with the community a lot more. I recall watching lots of Gacha stories with my sibling. It was a lot of fun, and most of the stories were really entertaining, but a lot of the time, the plot lines were pretty similar. There were a lot of trends going on at the time, I get that. Although the content was entertaining, it was sad to see that stories with a lot of potential were cut short or ended with a happily ever after, just like the rest. I soon started seeing a lot of YouTubers making fun of and hating on Gacha because of a lot of cringy and provocative content in the community. I have never interacted with that kind of content in the fandom, but I was very aware of its existence and the impact it had on the game and its reputation. From an outsider's view, it's just sad to see young users creating provocative content, because I know that there are probably older people within these circles that are helping normalize this content and taking advantage of the younger creators. I won't get too much into this part though, as previously mentioned, I have never really interacted with it. However, it would be interesting to know if any of you have created this kind of content as children and regretted it later. Knowing how amino apps functioned back in the day, I just hope that people will abandon it before it causes more damage. Anyway, as time passed, I felt more and more compelled to help fellow Gacha users with developing stories to help re-establish the storytelling part of the community. I actually made a Gacha tip video before, which has survived. I'm not that proud of the video, to be honest. It was made in 2019, 2 years before I wrote the script to and uploaded the most popular video on my channel. It's insane how much my editing and the Gacha apps as a whole have improved over that period. But hey, this video makes for a pretty neat time capsule for the Gacha community back then. I'll link the full video in the description for those who are interested. On the topic of old content, there was another video that survived. I'm kind of embarrassed to share this, and it is very confusing to watch. So it starts out with two demon boys chasing this random girl. She runs into the school and notices this third demon boy, who she is incredibly scared of. Already quite an exciting start, I will say. However, we still haven't figured out why she is being chased. So she runs through the corridor and catches the attention of this cool friend group. They immediately realize something is up, because the third demon is acting sus. Here's the part that really confuses me. So basically, his power is that he can create illusions, but like, what? This wasn't really necessary at all. If it was his first introduction, I should have made the illusion last a bit longer at least. Anyway, she eventually gets cornered and beat up. Oh no. Gosh, cover your eyes, this is really graphic violence you're about to witness. But wait, here comes the friend group to the rescue. Wait. Why are they blushing? No way! And the main character is crushing on the leader of the group? Wow! So anyway, she gets escorted to the nurse's office by the best designed character of the bunch. Wait, the nurse wants to inform the principal about the school violence? Okay. But I don't think she needs bandages. What I think my 12-year-old self wanted to say was Band-Aid, but that wouldn't really do anything for that barcode on her cheek. And then this weird conversation happens. How does Rose know where the Band-Aids are? Did she get into fights too? Even now, I can't tell you why she says that. Has she been there before? You and I will never know. So, the video ends with the main character getting introduced to the friend group, and that's it. As you can probably tell, I have improved a lot at storytelling and dialogue since I started to use Gacha. A lot of my improvements stems from letting my peers review my work, and exploring other people's work. It takes a lot of trial and error developing stories, and some characters that were orphaned from their stories found better use elsewhere. Right now, I'm using Shane for a D&D campaign, and I'm giving him a better home in a new story with lots of other new OCs. Gacha was a really great app for me that I definitely needed at that time in my life. It helped keep me occupied and distracted from a lot of bad thoughts that I had. The app sort of worked as training wheels that helped me actualize my ideas and stories, even if most of what I made is gone now. Looking at my channel as a whole, I think I'm the most proud of my mini-movie and motivation video. The mini-movie took me so long to create, and I really enjoyed working on it despite all the hardships that I faced. The motivation video is kind of like a reflection on the work process of it. Looking back at what burnt me out and what helped me get out of it has really helped me a lot even now. I have recovered a lot better from art blocks since creating it. Overall, I have learned a lot of things and gained tons of experience from creating both of these videos. My first video is my biggest hit, and it will forever hold a special place in my heart, because it's a great example of what this channel is all about: inspiration and creativity. I doubt I'll ever post anything that can surpass it, and I think that's okay. It has truly been an honor to help inspire so many people on here, and I hope that you all continue to work on your projects, and continue being good to yourselves, even if I'm not going to be around as much. Thanks for buzzing by. This is Spiribee, leaving the hive.